Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. I have to apologize for being a little bit late to start today. How should we do this? Let's just go into the markets first. Over on Friday, we pushed down pretty hard after Apple announced that they were going to shut down some stores in Florida and so on and so forth. So we had a pretty ugly push down. We finally came and touched this point of control. Keep in mind that this whole market structure down in here all the way to about, I don't know, could even be down to the 2940 area, but definitely down to at least where the weekly open was at 2983 last week. Kind of a weak structure up in through here. So when we opened here on Sunday night, we did gap lower, but then we had a technical retracement. But again, like, the Apple stuff happened somewhere around here. So, like, yeah, pretty, I think we're unlikely to push back above that level. I don't know if we're going to push back down. The thing is that the technical picture hasn't really changed, from my observation, but I'm having a hard time getting a read on how people really feel about it. Yeah, and I'm probably going to have a hard time making reads all this week. Not only because we're likely to move into a new market regime, but I'm all jacked up. So, start text to speech. Make sure we can read everybody here. Anyways, yeah, I'm not going to be doing any trading this week. We'll be here. I'm still going to be streaming. I guess we'll watch the markets and wait things out, but I'm not going to click. My little sister killed herself on Saturday morning. Hung herself in a utility closet. And, yeah. So any trading that I do is likely to end in disaster. And I see why, because I rely very much on, okay, how's the market feeling about this? Are you still scared on Monday? Let's read the headlines. Let's see what people are saying. I just can't tell, because overall I just feel heavy. So that is kind of where we're at. Let's see here. Futures Trader 71, happy Monday from the downtown Chicago office for the first time since March 9th. Wow. Okay. Oh, I left that window open. Let me go close that window. All right. So, anyways, sorry to be like a total bummer today, but I'm just warning you. Well, I'm looking here at the E-mini, and it kind of looks like we're in an area where we're likely to turn back down, but it's not entirely clear. Looks like a good spot. I think that we probably will pull back a little bit. Actually, there was a little bit of a push. I'm all like, ooh, that's it. Let's go short. Let's go short, guys. Nah, I will. I will refrain. The Chicago Fed National Activity Index came out to 2.61 versus our previous reading of 16.74. We also have some French auctions and existing home sales. We got some news later in the week tomorrow. There's some news. Okay. S&P bouncing on the 200-day moving average and the lower part of the trend channel. So when I was looking at my charts, there was moving averages over at 300. Let's try this because I've been seeing a lot of people talking about moving averages. Moving averages. And I just typically don't care, but since everybody cares so much, I'm going to come in here and add a few SMAs on here. Let's see here. I'm going to add 3 of them. We'll do a 50-day and a 100-day and a 200-day moving average. Okay, so there is a 200-day moving average down in here is where they found support. I should change these to be calculated on price change so that I get today's. Cool. Well, I don't think that actually looks good. Okay, well, that 200-day moving average certainly does have an impact on markets. Look at it. Back when we were doing the whole crazy, they just bashed through it. They tried to come back up it, couldn't hold it, fell through. So here they're going to be saying, "Oh, it bounced here," and then they move higher. The problem with that though is that anything could happen today. Has our daily range really been that far? 30.95? Yeah. Well, I'm a little worried about the VIX like spiking up here. Donald Trump tweeting here about John Bolton again. He seems to be and rightly so concerned about how this is impacting the news cycle. I gave John Bolton, who was incapable of being Senate confirmed because he was considered a wacko and was not liked, a chance. I always like hearing differing points of view. He turned out to be grossly incompetent and a liar. See judge's opinion, classified information. Oh yes, because they prevented the book from being published, didn't they? Yeah, I see somebody tweeting about correlation between the Democrats' chance of winning an election and the markets and pointing out that they have diverged. Well, they've diverged because there's more important things going on now. I saw somewhere, where was it? See if I see anything more about this. I was seeing all this stuff about Donald Trump basically telling them to not do as many tests because because you get more positive tests cases. But I don't know about that one. Here's the thing, they had like a huge army of contact tracing guys in New York, and apparently it didn't do any good. And kind of you gotta wonder, right? So if that doesn't do any good, then is having the high amount of testing really help that much in the end? Or like, I think about South Korea. South Korea was praised and did well, right? Because they had good contact tracing. I think that maybe the contact tracing really only matters when it's a small thing. And now that we're well past that point, now it doesn't matter. Now it's down to your healthcare system. You know, could be wrong. Yeah,
Uzi Knesset says contact tracing matters in the beginning, not the middle or the end. Lol.
yeah, I think you're probably right. So that also means is he right? Is Donald Trump right about testing that at this
Eric
point?
Hughes says if everything goes well, we should see 2,900 by Wednesday.
You think so? Well, you know what? I would love to see this market get a little reckoning. If you could say, but I don't know. I feel vengeful. Not that I lost anything through this bull run or anything like that, but I just it really irks me, I guess, when you see all of these people on Facebook and so forth, and they all think that they're master traders, and it's really just a function of the markets, and they're doing such stupid things that they're just going to get destroyed. But I don't know if just like a complete blowout here it would
Uzi
be what would
Knesset
do it.
says it's an undeniable reality that if we were to stop testing, the COVID narrative as presented currently would die. COVID would still exist, it would still impact health,
Right.
but it wouldn't impact.
Like I guess the thing is that we don't really need to do a bunch of testing on people that don't really have it.
Uzi Knesset says behavior anymore. Without testing, COVID goes from being media fear to being a medical issue.
I mean, the thing is that they don't want people to spread it. So you want a lot of testing so that when people do get it, they know and they self-isolate. But it sounds like Donald Trump is saying don't do as much testing because we just don't actually need to know. that knowing is causing more of a problem than actually getting it is. That's what they seem to be saying. I don't know if I buy into that. That does kind of rub me the wrong way. I don't know, man. And it seemed
Uzi Knesset says I would never get tested. Since the
you don't think
beginning,
so?
I've approached this the same way. If I get sick, assume I have it, isolate, mitigate symptoms like I would anything else. If I need hospital, go.
Yeah, but how would you know?
Uzi Knesset says no one on earth needs testing for that.
How would you know if you had it? If you get sick, obviously you should self isolate, but maybe you have it and you're asymptomatic. Then how would you know? Right? That's where the contact tracing is supposed to
Uzi
come through,
Knesset
right?
says, what difference would knowing make?
Then you would self-isolate. Right? Because that's what you're saying is, if I get it, I'll isolate. But how? But what if you're asymptomatic? Then you wouldn't know. So how do you deal with that? I think I'm a little frustrated by the whole thing because I basically what happened was when the the pandemic was at its peak, I
Uzi
guess.
Knesset says, why? I can't transmit a sickness by magic. I must cough, I must sneeze, I must be in someone's personal space.
I'm not sure that's true. I think that just talking, right? I think it's not just coughing. Though coughing is certainly the worst. Ooh, I don't know, man. Probably beyond my knowledge and probably beyond what even epidemiologists know. Because certainly everybody knows that you can't be coughing in public, right? Oh, man. I know what's going to happen because we're going to have a funeral
Uzi
this week.
Knesset says, I wear my mask if I'm going to be anywhere for longer than 5 minutes.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you're going to wear a mask. We're going to have a funeral. I don't know if they're going to let us have the funeral that we would like to have. So I think that everybody really wants to get together. And I think, based on my understanding of where Utah is, at least, that they'll
Uzi
limit us to
Knesset
50
says, I'm not
people.
making the argument for being careless, I'm making the argument that getting tested is stupid.
I think that the more people that have been tested and are confirmed to know that they have it from a medical test, that the less likely it is to spread. But is that percentage chance really make a difference? Because I think the larger thing that everybody seems to be saying right now is that it's just not that dangerous. We don't think it's as dangerous as we did. And so everybody's going to catch it, and we just have to keep it out of nursing homes. That
Uzi
all.
Knesset says, take away the data, take away the narrative. People in the healthcare system will deal with COVID themselves.
Yeah, I don't think that we have to be doing anything like shutting down the economy if that's what you're really concerned about. So that's kind of what it sounds like. And I think you're probably right. Probably we don't need to shut down the economy, but I'm also thinking that probably a lot of people are going to be more cautious still. That could slow the recovery. That's what I'm thinking right now. And I think that that's why the market's pulling back. I don't think anybody believes that governments are going to shut things down again. That was so harmful. I don't think that any policymaker will go back. And I don't think that if we were to go back through it again, like let's say that next year a new threat that has the same kind of profile shows up, they won't shut down. I bet.
Uzi Knesset says, if our healthcare system can't handle COVID, a sickness that can be asymptomatic and that the majority of people survive, then the problem is our healthcare system, not COVID.
That might be right. You read so on Zero Hedge. There was I don't know why. I find it a little interesting. What happens to get posted there sometimes? It's always so negative, isn't it? It always seems so negative, at least. Even though some of the analysts are actually bullish and they do post those, but it's always put against a certain backdrop. You do kind of have to wonder how much of that website is like pushed propaganda. But
Uzi Knesset says, oh yeah, ZH is Doom Central lol.
the Doom Central, I don't know. Like people say that they're like Russian propaganda, and I see them post not really necessarily Russian, but Chinese stuff all the time. Yeah. And I'm sitting here like, why are they? Who is it? Is I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it really is just like a total Russian propaganda outlet. But I find so much of the information that they publish useful, and that I literally don't see anywhere else. Well, I mean, it is available because a lot of this stuff they are repeating from the big banks, but there's nowhere else that I can read that stuff. So I read it a lot. Um, but they were talking about an EMP attack. They were like, Russia and China are seeing how badly we dealt with COVID. Now maybe they will do an EMP, like they'll attack a carrier or a battleship with an EMP. That's what they were talking about. I'm like, why would you bring that up? Why? They're like some secret Chinese government source that is seriously considering doing this in the near future. I don't know, man. I tell you what. If somebody set off an EMP, these markets would flip out. Because all this shit is online, right? And they could certainly do a weapon that would just shut down all electronics in the United States. I keep thinking I should have.
Uzi Knesset says COVID is such a narrative football at this point. Trump has rally, spike in cases day after. Yeah, because everyone at a Trump rally got sick overnight.
Oh yeah, totally. And
Uzi Knesset says no mention of protests and riots though, despite the fact that here in FL, most of new cases are between 20 to 30 years old.
The protests, without question, spread it, right? The people that the minority populations were getting it more, and they were all out in the streets. 100% they spread it more, and 100% a lot of the resurgence that we're seeing is because of the protests, because that was when people stopped quarantining themselves. It's the whole thing is fucked up, man. Like I don't think that it would be fair or responsible to sit down and say that my sister died because of the coronavirus or the lockdown. She had much more going on, and I'm really shocked because I knew that she had her emotional problems, but I thought that she was very much irresolute about toughing things out no matter what. But it was certainly a contributing factor, and there is no question that if it was not for this whole coronavirus episode, that she would probably still be alive right now. I'm a little frustrated.
Bob the Builder says, what is your strategy for today, Seth?
Well,
Uzi Knesset says, wait,
sorry.
say again, your sister.
I mean, I mentioned it at the beginning, but let me go back and say it again. I'm not taking any trades this week. My read on the markets is likely to be very questionable because my little sister hung herself on Saturday morning. Her to go into it a little bit more. They had been really good through the whole quarantine. They weren't drinking or anything, but they were both home, and I don't actually know what they were doing.
Uzi Knesset says, holy fuck, bro. I'm so sorry.
Right. But this they did finally decide to drink, and she's can be different, right? Like she will go into this because she's ADHD like me, but I don't really have.
Bob the Builder says, me too.
Yeah, it's okay, guys. I don't really have like the bad decision making impulse control so much with my ADHD, probably largely in part because I've been on medication since I was a little kid. But she was, a girl, and they miss it with girls. And especially during high school, she was always kind of giving my parents trouble. So when she drinks, it can get really bad. And she's said that really crazy things when she's drunk before. So, anyways, it was like way super late at night, and that she was drunk, and it was like too much. So her husband left to go and stay the night with at her mom's house. And I don't know what they were. I haven't even asked him, and I don't know if we will. Like one of the things that's really crazy about it.
RJ Wheel says so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't need to. I know that you guys all feel for me. You don't all have to tell me. That's man. I don't know. So one of the things that's happening. Yeah, these
RJ
are
Wheel
tough
says
times.
these are tough times.
One of the things that's happening is that we posted on Facebook, and so everybody's messaging me on Facebook to say sorry, and I'm like, you don't have to message me. I know that doesn't really help. I guess it's nice to know that the people that are paying attention, but still, um, they should continue to message me, but right now it seems kind of a little annoying. Anyways, so he left, and then he woke up in the morning and was gonna apologize and everything, and calling her, and she didn't pick up. So he went there and he couldn't find her for a long time. Called my mom. She's not with you, is she? Like, I can't find her. And he was really looking around, and then he found her in the utility closet downstairs. Um, but this is where I'm saying that, like, one of the things that's kind of weird about it, or that I didn't expect, and maybe this is usually the case when these sorts of things happen, but we don't really know a whole lot. Like, I was asking, so how did she hang herself? And my parents said, well, there was this down there, and they were able to look through it after the police had closed things down, but they didn't. The police wouldn't let them in. We haven't gotten a report from them. They're still doing their report, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I guess they do have to do an autopsy and stuff. So I don't know if, like, she just, like, jumped and tried to snap her neck, or if she just put something around her neck and choked herself out, or what. And I try not to think about it, because when I think about how she killed herself and whether or not there was like a lot of pain or anything like that, that's when it starts to make me feel like really awful.
Uzi Knesset says that's fucking heavy, man. Confused face.
Can you imagine what it's like for her husband, man? That guy. I when I'm tilted and I've lost, like, those days when I've lost $500. Oh, that was the worst. The worst one was that day when there was all that craziness going on with the what was it, like, the trade wars stuff, and I thought I had some good opportunities, but the market at that point turned into this Jekyll and Hyde, where it was like, even though it was good, people were selling it and stuff, shit like that. Do you remember that when it was the Chinese held their press conference and it was going up, and then halfway through the press conference, everybody decided that it was bullshit and they sold it, which was super sketch. But then eventually we moved up and everything was fine again. You remember that? And I took some trades and lost a ton. And then that day, I went to go get the ultrasound, and because my previous wife, she had been pregnant before, but then when we went to the ultrasound, there was nothing there. So it was a big deal to be able to actually see that there was a baby. And I was, oh, I'm gonna bring a kid in, and I just blew $500 like willy nilly, being stupid. And your face, it's I'm sure that you guys have felt this before, right? It's like you couldn't smile if you wanted to, and your face starts to feel numb. You get shit faced. And so the way that it went down was we were going to build a chicken coop. We were going to build a chicken coop on Saturday. My mom came over to watch the baby for a little bit while we were doing some other yard stuff. And then she got the call and he said, "Oh, I think she's dead." Um and So we once we found that out, me and my wife, we got something to eat first, and then while they all figured things out, and then we went over to his mom's house, so to talk to him, and he was so shit faced, man. You just his face. I've never seen anything like it. It was like that times 1,000. I can't even imagine what he must be going through. We're very concerned for him because you're gonna blame yourself, right? I don't think he should. I think that she, like I said, she had her own emotional problems, and maybe she knew that he was gonna come back and everything. But she did it in the utility closet. Like I think that she hit herself because she didn't want anybody to find her and stop her. I think that's what the logic was. But I mean, like I said, we don't know enough about how it went down, and maybe I'm never going to know enough. I don't know. Maybe I probably should, so that there's no wondering, and then maybe I'll think about it less. But um, yeah, she wanted out, man. It's crazy. She wanted out, and I can only imagine like being cooped up and not really actually having anything super productive to do. Then her husband, is probably doing FaceTime with his buddies and stuff, and maybe she feeling a little ignored. And then you get drunk, and then irrationality takes over, and you're just tired of feeling that way, and you want out. That is what I feel happened. But I digress. The point was, I guess, our analysis.
Uzi Knesset says there's a lot I could say about this, in relation to my own battles. I don't think the internet is the right place though. I'll just say, my own plan has always been to get lost, so. Uzi Knesset says no one I care about would find me.
Yeah. Here's the thing that fucking is getting me this morning. I was a little late this morning, and I guess I'll get in my head, and then I don't realize how long I'm taking to get ready. And I definitely did that this morning. But the thought that was going through my head was, she knew that everybody in the family was pretty well adjusted and was doing okay, and that we would all live without her.
Uzi Knesset says frankly, I'm surprised you're streaming at all.
Well, what else am I gonna do, man? I don't want to sit around and I mean, yesterday we went over to my parents' house a bit and we watched some movies. So you have the kids this weekend. So we're just taking care of the baby. We're like I said, we were gonna build a chicken coop on Saturday, but and I can't really write stuff, right? Like program. I probably could have programmed or made a video. I'm definitely not gonna make a video because I don't know. You can see it. I can definitely feel wrong.
Uzi Knesset says I understand that I suppose. Distraction, normalcy.
Right. And I'm gonna try to work today. I might take a second Adderall pill and try and binge through tickets because this is a bad week for me to have to leave work. Not that there's anything that like absolutely has to be done or anything, but like a lot of people are going to be out this week, and we're counting on us, myself and my other coworker that I've been working with the longest to get stuff done. they're relying on us, and now I'm gonna leave them all well, at least one day. So I'm gonna try and work as much as I can. So yeah, but like I said, I'm not gonna click. I mean, I even thought, well, we can just trade it sim and then I can show you guys how much it sucks. But I think that if I traded it and like did poorly, that would just make me feel more shitty. So I'm gonna refrain from doing that. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying that like that really rubs me the wrong way. It makes me mad that she would go, yeah, well, I love them and everything, but they will be okay without me. So it's okay for me to do this. I think that might have been one of her thoughts. I'm mind reading and I have no clue really I have no way of really knowing what she, and I don't think she left a note or anything. It was just, yeah, I get that. Was like, you know, make it so that nobody can find you, and because it's not that you want to hurt the other people, it's just you want it to be over with. Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. I can't. I'm so shocked, obviously. Like I said, I know that she's said crazy things, but I really didn't think that she would do that. And the alcohol probably had a lot to do with it too, right? This is why I always like, obviously I'm a good Mormon boy, and we don't drink or do drugs or any of those things. And some people are always like, uh, they're always trying to convince you to not be Mormon because drinking is so great or something. No way, my friends. If something happened that like the Mormon church just like utterly collapsed overnight, and it was just like impossible for anybody to believe it anymore, I would still 100% live all of the rules. And I certainly would never drink because I know it's the ADHD, man. We're susceptible. We tried telling her, but they wanted to drink. Hopefully him, her husband, is doesn't drink. They're keeping him away from it. Maybe he will go into rehab or something, but
Uzi Knesset says it's a hard thing to understand. I have bad days where it gets really dark. It took years for my wife to understand that trying to make me feel better does the opposite she intends.
oh yeah. Oh well, so here's another thing. She got her real estate license like last week. She got, because she's been working. She's like a manager over at the Buckle, like the clothing store, or she was at least before the pandemic shut everything down, right? So she got her real estate license. And my dad, he has a broker's license. He's done real estate for a long time. And so he actually had a broker's license, but he's never really done anything with it. So it was like, okay, she gets her real estate license, he can be the broker and they can do stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I have a little bit of cash and now would be a great time to pick up property, right? So we can start our real estate empire. So I'm working on the yard on Tuesday and I'm thinking about that she did that. And I'm like, oh, maybe since I haven't talked to her in a while, maybe I should call her, which I never do. When you're ADHD, there's very much like if you don't see something, you forget about it, right? You buy food and then it's in a drawer or something, you forget about it and you don't eat it. So you only think about that stuff when you see it. So I'm not very good at keeping up with people. If it wasn't for Facebook, man, I'm so bad at that. Um, and so I didn't call her because I thought, well, it would be weird. but I don't think that it would have changed anything. Well, I'm at least that's what I'm going to tell myself, because I don't want to be sitting there saying, "Oh man, if I had only called her, then she would have." That's not a good way of thinking about it, but then I think that like, yeah, talking to her maybe wouldn't have maybe would have made things worse. I don't know, because she would have just been thinking like, I don't know, like she definitely wanted to see family.
Uzi Knesset says it wouldn't have. I don't say that to make you feel bad, but it wouldn't have.
Yeah. I don't think that it would have made a difference, because when she was in that mode, I don't know if any of that stuff was really crossing through her head. I don't know if my family really doesn't want me to go. I don't think that if she had that thought, it was probably you know, dismissed consideration, you know. Market is moving interesting. So we had that decent push down to the 78 area, and they bounced, and then we had a pretty wild outside bar, and we're a little bit lower, but now we got this 2-bar reversal thing going on. Of course, when I'm talking short-term charts, it's kind of none of this shit really matters, but just tells you that the market is actually quite what's the word that we're looking for? Uncertain, flippy. Anyways, so another thing is that this week is probably going to be hard trading anyways, right? Like we just had this really bad downturn. They're going to try and find technical resistance so that they can continue on with their bull run, right? But I think that even if they do, this next section of the bull run is not going to be like the first section. It's going to be harder. And because everything is already so overvalued, there's going to be a lot of chop. There's going to be a lot of chop. These guys that are all trading in equities and are basically just momentum playing buying, are probably going to get destroyed at some point, I think. Like I say, I would like to see the market visit some vengeance upon some of these guys that think they're so brilliant. But just like a complete downturn probably wouldn't do it. If it was like going down, then they'll just short. No, it's going to have to be range. It's going to have to be choppy. Choppy is what kills people, you know? Anyways. Is the auto center ticks set on these the same? It is, but they don't, for some reason, they don't actually reset the same. What else? I don't know if there's anything else to say about my sister, but it really sucks. And then, like I said, I don't know if we'll be able to have the kind of funeral that we would like, you know? These windows must just be like a pixel off or something, because they don't reset at the same time. It's so annoying. Wish that Jigsaw had some things to merge them together, or like allow me to only show the E-mini and just execute on the micro or something like that. I think that would be the best way to do it. Anyways, Uzi, don't ever do anything. I would be so upset. I need you to stick around. You've been such a great viewer, man. I think you more than anybody's been around longer and consistent every day and everything. And you've shared stuff with me that's so useful. You good you good at this, man. That's the hard thing about it is like sometimes we just got chemicals messed up, you know? That's what happened to her. Hmm. Gilead plans to study inhaled version of remdesivir. Is this the mankind phase of COVID therapies? What? Gilead is anticipating now to have over 2 million doses of remdesivir
Uzi
by
Knesset
end
says
of
personally,
2020.
I think I'm missing the ingredient it takes to take the final step.
Yeah,
Believe me, I've been a twitch away from it, but I can't cross that line.
that's interesting. I mean, I understand the feeling because when I was divorced, I tell you what, it freaking does something to your head. Like it's like the brain pathways like realign or something. Because I never felt like I was like a super emotional person. I felt like when I was off the medication, because I was for so many years, like basically from high school until I was 30, I didn't take ADHD medication, but I didn't feel like I was an emotional person. And then all of a sudden it was like it just slips and then I'm emotional all the time. And I was crying all the time. I would get in my car and that was usually when I would cry. Um and when I got back on it, so there was many times where I was like, this just like really sucks, but and I don't want to feel like this anymore. But I didn't ever really think about the suicide aspect because I was just like, well, we'll go through it and it'll be better in the end, anyways. But then when I got on Strattera, which is a norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor, and like it is with any kind of antidepressant style medication, it can give you weird thoughts. And so at that time, there was a girl that I really liked. Like I thinking, knowing now, I don't know if it really would have worked out, but I really liked her, and I really thought that that was gonna go further than it did. Maybe not marry her, but I thought it was gonna be a serious, at least the first serious relationship, you know. And so that made it harder. So I was depressed about that. But then when you get on this Strattera, it gives you suicidal. I don't. They say idealizations. So it was kind of like, well, this sucks, and if I did that, then I wouldn't have to feel this anymore.
Uzi Knesset says without you, pulls you deeper. Uzi Knesset says it's like quicksand, hard to describe, you think about it, it's passing, then you think again, it pulls you deeper, you start planning, it pulls you deeper, you start imagining the world.
Yeah, without you, pulls you deeper. Yeah, so I would have the idealizations, but I knew that that was a symptom of the medication. So I just said, well, okay, we don't think about it. It would just go to bed and it'll be fine. I wouldn't hang myself though. Jeez, just no. I'm not gonna say it. There's a much easier way to cleaner way to commit suicide. But man, oh man, like I said, that's the thing that still works. That still gets me is why she hang herself. Like because hanging yourself requires like physical action, you know? Like it's one thing to just turn the car on and then sit there, you know? Or maybe take a few pills and then sit there and it's like it's all already done. But to hang yourself, you've got to rig a thing up and you've got to like jump or I don't know how you do it. I
Uzi
really
Knesset says I couldn't do slow.
couldn't do slow. And I'm hoping that she wasn't sitting there suffocating for a long time. Ugh. Gary Norton forwarded me an advance copy of the revised text prior to release, and I can say without hesitation it should be a required reading for any aspiring retail trader. Oh. So,
Uzi Knesset says can't leave room to change your mind.
right, yeah, it's just no, I couldn't do it. Just the thought, like of the pain, just makes me so like I'm telling you, when the communists take over, and they put us all in re-education camps, and they try and torture me and everything like that. I mean, it's gonna suck, and you're gonna want it to end, but I I'm like determined to live forever, man. I think I'm supposed to live forever. That's how I feel. They do whatever they want. They do whatever they want. I'm never gonna give in. You know. I thought my little sister was like that, but apparently when she's drunk, she's not. Schumer seeks Department of Justice watchdog review of Brennan Elster. Don't waste your time.
Uzi Knesset says I will die before put in gulag.
Yeah, you'll die before you won't let them put you in the gulag, huh? That's a good point. You won't take me alive. Yep. Yes, sir. You never know though. Sometimes they might, they might find a way to take you alive. Good grief. I shouldn't talk like that though. Something that like I was talking to my dad cuz he's super triggered by the jazz.
Uzi Knesset says you spent 25 years of your life thinking about dying. When the communists come for you, you're ready.
Never take me alive. Commies. No, he's super triggered by the jazz. He was saying that apparently a biker gang is saying that if the Chaz isn't down,
RJ Wheel says not when I die. If I die.
if they're not gone by the 4th of July, that they're going to come in and kick them out. These bikers are saying this, and like that could be the trigger for a new civil war. And I'm like, nobody's gonna do shit. It's just a bunch of hippies doing the Occupy Wall Street thing all over again. A new group of kids that have been suckered into these stupid ideas. They're gonna realize how stupid they are, and they're all gonna go home. Don't do anything. Just let them be dumb. The longer they're there, and the more trouble they have.
RJ Wheel says Red Dawn time.
Red Dawn time.
Uzi Knesset says yeah minus the multiple shootings and death lol.
Yeah, well, there was like a huge firefight. That one is I find super disturbing that there's a death. They weren't letting the police in, and they're not telling anybody anything about when it went down. Like, man, these people are crazy. I can't believe that the mayor hasn't done anything. What is her problem? Because at this point, she's got to be sitting here thinking, well, this is like could end me, and maybe she's just hoping that they just, I don't know, that it blows over. I don't know if it'll blow over, but you'll still pay the political price. Eventually, they're going to go away.
Uzi Knesset says it's a trap. They're trying to bait Trump into doing something unconstitutional.
Nah. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be unconstitutional. The reason I'm like, nah, is because if he had to invoke the Insurrection Act, it wouldn't be unconstitutional. There are ways that he could go in and he could clear a place out like that, and still be within the bounds of the law and the Constitution. But I think you're right. I think that they're trying to bait people. Oh, so Gary did post something. I have rewritten my first book examining the unreliability of technical analysis in my efforts to inform traders why technical analysis is so unreliable. I am offering the book for free. Visit my website and subscribe to receive a free copy. The new version is called Technical Analysis Exposed. And then Discovery Trading Group was saying that they had a copy of it and that it was really good.
RJ Wheels says if those were white right-wingers that situation would be Waco before you can say Chaz Bono.
Oh yeah. Well, it was like that when they took over the Oregon Wildlife Reserve or whatever. It was just a bunch of guys, in the middle of nowhere, not bothering anybody, and the feds completely surrounded them. And somebody tried to go through and got killed. Oh man, that whole thing was. That video was
Cost
crazy.
says what will you be trading?
Well, Cost. I watch the index futures and treasuries, but this week I am taking a break because we're going through we had a death in the family this week, and I'm not really in a state of mind to be trading. Should I? Yes, I should. Let's see here. Calculate. This one is not. Should be on price change.
Cost says copy THNX.
Copy things, yeah. But we do treasuries and e-minis. So I know that for a lot of day traders, especially when you're doing equities, you do scanner or whatever, and you decide what you're going to trade for the day. But the way that I work is I have the one or two markets that I understand really, really well, and I'm just pricing that one thing. So it's always the same thing. Let's see, when you're doing futures, you're talking about a macro asset that always has reason to be moving around, as opposed to some stocks nobody cares. What is Gary Norton's website? Oh wait, did he have a link when he was over here? I want to read this book. Maybe he has it listed in the tweet. Well, he has a link here, NN squared. News and media coming soon. I didn't know that Gary Norton had a website. I want to get on the list. I must already be on the list because he sends me emails all the time. I'm excited for this to come out because this is, I think that Gary has presented his case in a way that we don't get because he's not using the terms that everybody wants to use. If he said technical analysis doesn't work, use fundamental analysis, that's what I think he's saying. But he doesn't say it that way. He just hits against technical analysis. Anyways, the jazz. That's what we were talking about. Why the 4th of July? How far away is the 4th of July? 3 weeks? Oh, no, it's only 2 weeks away. We could have had a big party. We'll have a big party anyways. Sucks though, man. But it sucks the whole social distancing thing still. Like, would really love to have Ace over for a 4th of July party, but they have to be careful. What else is going on? Have you seen? For some reason, it's so interesting to me that it's just like now, but like there's a lot of talk recently about Ninja Trader. I guess it's because there's a lot of new traders coming in and like, should I get in or not? But like there was so for instance on the subreddit, there was one guy that was like, oh, Ninja Trader is so awful, don't use it. And then one of the things is that people complain about the commission, which is like, it's not much different from AMP futures if you have the lifetime license. Like I didn't understand what it is that the charge that everybody like hates so much. Mm-mm. Oh, now they're talking about that you can only use it with their broker. Which is not true, but kind of is true. So we should quote this guy. So here's the open. Wow, it's already 7:30. Well, that hour flew by so fast, guys. Just times like this make me so grateful that our stream is so great. I know I already heaped a bunch of praise on Uzi, but man, you've been such a great viewer. I'm so glad that you came on our stream and you've shared the things that you have with us. It's just I'm so lucky. I am not worthy. Okay, I'm gonna write something here. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay, still writing here. I'm gonna mute this so you don't have to hear me type. Okay. Mm-mm. Okay. Maybe it's his organic financial group that he did it. Yes. There it is. I'm already on his list, but I'll be on his list again. Select all images with boats. Okay. Oh, that's a boat. Those are boats. Okay, cool. Okay. Supreme Court rejects challenge to Trump's 25% steel tariffs. Okay. I'm surprised that one of those got that far. Roosevelt statue to be removed from New York City's Museum of Natural History. Why is Roosevelt considered did he I don't understand. Roosevelt was a great president. Oh, The statue features Roosevelt on horseback with a Native American man and African man who are standing next to the horse. In 2017, it was coated in red liquid by protesters who called for its removal as a symbol of patriarchy, white supremacy, and settler colonialism. That is like the most famous object in the Museum of Natural History. Are you kidding me? That is so ridiculous. I think that if you think that Roosevelt statue should be removed, that you're an idiot. Roosevelt was a great president. Come on. Yeah, we're gonna remove his face from Mount Rushmore now? Oh, jeez, guys. Teddy Roosevelt served as governor of New York from 1899 to 1900. Oh, I did not know. Talking about all the things he did. Tear the whole museum down.
Uzi
It's on
Knesset
stolen
says the
land.
communists are going to give birth to a new nationalist movement.
I really think that it has gone to a point now where you've got a couple of crazy people. By the way, pretty good downside market action since the open so far. We're going to see that it looks like they're going to try and make a run for the yesterday's close at 30, 59, 50. Let's just call it 30.60. So let's see how it goes. Anyways, like they toppled a statue of George Washington. They toppling statue of Thomas Jefferson. Okay, like you're talking about the sort of a thing now where it's like 90% of people are going to say that statue should stay. I'm going to bet you that 70% of Americans believe that the statue of Roosevelt should remain in the Museum of Natural History. I bet you that if you pulled that, that's what it would come down to. So is this? Are we not allowed to watch Night at the Museum now too? You can't, it's getting really silly. I want to go on Facebook and rant about it, but I'm not going to do that because we're in the morning. Probably not the best time to be posting political rants on Facebook. Man. Birth to a new nat. I don't think that very many people are going to go along with this. And Donald Trump's almost certainly going to...
E-Trader says I'm trifling.
Donald Trump is almost certainly going to try and take advantage of it. Like, he's going to bring this one up. When did they start talking about this? Like, this was posted on the 21st.
RJ Wheel says cancel culture in high gear.
Yeah. They've been trying to get rid of it since 2017. I mean, this is the case of like one, like a small group of people demanding that it gets taken down. I don't think that it is already, like everybody said, it was a slippery slope.
Uzi Knesset says complain publicly on social media and you get a struggle session from the communists.
Yeah, I think that public opinion is going to turn against this very quickly. Because Americans don't think that, because now they're coming back, they're going to be saying it's on stolen land. They're going to say that the United States should just completely go and that it should all be given back to the Indians. That's what they're saying. That's the argument that's really trying to make.
Uzi Knesset says seriously, look up struggle session. We call it cancel culture, but it's an old Chinese communist strategy.
Yeah, it was totally communists trying to inflame this. I don't know how to. I mean, when you look at the polling, and you see that right now it looks like Joe Biden is ahead, clearly the majority of Americans don't see it that way. Clearly, the majority of Americans don't care that they're taking these statues down, or at least they don't think that it's pertinent to who is president. Ugh. Freaking Roosevelt, like, he was like one of my favorite presidents, man. Like, it really kind of I don't know what is the word to describe how I feel about it. It's really disheartening, I guess. I can't believe they want to get rid of Roosevelt. And there's a freaking movie. There's the whole freaking movie, Night at the Museum. And Roosevelt is in that because he's the most famous thing in there. That and the T-Rex skeleton. Man. Oh yeah, and the mummy. Yeah. Jeez. I don't think that story has gotten as much media attention as it deserves. Is there anywhere that you can watch Night at the Museum streaming? I don't know how to spell museum. Of course, it's Apparently, you can watch it on Hulu. Actually, many of the streaming platforms have it. I don't know which ones it'll be free on and which ones it won't. I've even been getting links for Netflix, but that one it goes to nothing. As the top result is the Netflix page that gives you a 404. Okay, so they're turning back around at 3066.
eTrader says I think it's on Netflix.
I think it was on Netflix at one point, but I'm not sure if it is at the moment. Man, this is sort of like it just keeps getting more and more crazy, right? How are normal people sitting and watching all of this and just thinking, like this is totally normal, everything's gonna be fine? Like, nah, this is not normal. Like, this is stupid shit. We need to put a stop to this crap. But then, but then I think about it, it's like, should I go and defend X statues? So in Utah, it's Brigham Young, because Brigham Young, I guess, it said some racist things. So now we need to take out all of the statues of Brigham Young. Yeah, like that's a pretty direct attack on all of Utah culture.
eTrader says I think the world is crumbling so.
But everybody just says, "Oh, it's just these crazy people. Like, don't worry about it." I think that's what's going on. I think that nobody's taking it seriously. Because honestly, like what was it? The Albuquerque incident. Are you going to risk your life over a statue? Donald Trump. Because of mail-in ballots, 2020 will be the most rigged elections in our nation's history. Unless this stupidity is ended, we voted during World War I and World War II with no problem. But now they are using COVID in order to cheat by using mail-ins. That's Donald Trump there. Freaking Chicago was Patrick Rooney tweeting that Chai exit. Why is he pushing mail-in ballots today? Donald Trump should tweet about Roosevelt. Come on. Roosevelt was a great president. Crazy. Crazy stuff. Okay, so this move right here is the buying there is pretty dramatic. 3078 is the open. Oh man, if this bar turns into a shooting star, so bad. Will they do it? No, it didn't. It didn't end up being a shooting star. Still a pretty ugly looking candle. Even if it was a shooting star, it could not matter. It's just a 1-minute candle. But I digress. It doesn't look good, does it? I think the world is crumbling. So, ... I guess one of the things is that if it was like Ocasio-Cortez running for president, then everybody would say, "Oh yeah, of course she's part of those crazy people that want all of the statues down." But because it's Joe Biden and Joe Biden's not really saying anything about it, they can kind of justify that, like, "Oh well, Biden, maybe he will turn things back to normal. Like if we just get rid of Donald Trump, then that stuff will go away." Nah, nah. These guys are just going to get more extreme. And if you put their party in charge, yeah. Trust me, guys, the way that the way the party system works, the party in charge is everything. And you can't just sit down and say, "Well, that's just the extremists in their party," and this it doesn't work that way. They would never come in, become president, and then openly hit against their own base. No way. They came in and they said, "Oh, President Biden, you're racist because you're not giving Native American lands back to them." Right? What's he going to do? He can just the best that he can do is try to ignore it. But he's not going to tell them off because then your own party will get pissed. You create a schism in your own party and then you can't do anything. Okay, well, they made a push for the open. They came up, they're hovering just below it, so they may, as of yet, push up. It would not be too hard for them to just push up, a good 5 points and 5 handles and be up there. But, well, I don't know. It's pretty all over the place. It looks like we're mostly tilted up. I wonder what are some of our internals showing us here. Well, the volume and the advanced declines show us negative still. Trump advisor Kudlow says a second wave of coronavirus, quote unquote, isn't coming. His comments come after the U.S. reported more than 30,000 new cases on Friday and Saturday, the highest daily total since May 1st. Oh, that's actually only since May 1st? Well, that's not necessarily a big deal. What defines a second wave? This I still don't understand. Ah, there it is on the hill. President Trump slammed a decision to remove a statue of former President Theodore Roosevelt from the front steps of the Museum of Natural History in New York City, calling it ridiculous. In a Monday morning tweet, Trump urged officials not to remove the statue, which depicts Roosevelt on horseback leading two figures, one Native American and one African American. City officials and museum staff announced the decision jointly on Sunday, pointing to the recent protests over George Floyd and other Black Americans and encounters with law enforcement as a reason for reflection on the statue's controversial depiction of Black and Indigenous people. The museum said the statue has long been controversial because of the hierarchical composition, which places that one figure on horseback and the others walking alongside. And many of us find its depictions of the Native American and African figures and their placement in the monument racist. So then just remove them from the
Trader
monument.
says this is my first time here. Would you like to explain your strategy? What are you looking
Yeah,
for?
sure.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna show you the picture. Where's the picture? This is how I'm gonna go through it. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna make this into a video, and I'll give you guys a test run for it. All right. No, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Wrong application. Don't want Excel. No, we don't want Excel. We want PowerPoint. Sure. Hold on a second. Okay, so now at first this might seem a little crazy. So like stick with me here. Move it over here. In fact, I'll make it small so we can still see the. All right. So here's the thing. Like a lot of people trade their school of trading with religious zeal.
Uzi Knesset says Seth, I gotta run, brother. Just wanna say before I go, stay frosty, man.
Thanks, Uzi. I'll see you later. Love ya. Catch you later. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of people treat their school of trading or what they look at with religious zeal, right? Like, oh, Elliott wave analysis is better. It came first, and it's easy to understand. No, price action is better. You don't need charts. Okay, I have like a really hard time going on Facebook or all these forums and watching people talk about their strategies because the honest truth is that the majority of the things that they're looking at probably don't matter, or if they matter, it's very trivial, right? Because everybody is looking at what the market is doing and trying to come up with the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail being a strategy that you can use in all markets and will make you a consistently profitable trader. And the reality is that it does not exist. And I don't really think that the Holy Grail is a very good analogy for the way that you should try to approach trading. Hey, look, they're hitting the highs. Maybe we bust this out and everything's okay. No, I don't think that the Holy Grail is really the right analogy. And so I want to present with you a new analogy. And this analogy is achieving trading nirvana. All right. So the Buddhist belief is that we reincarnate, and that we're trapped in a constant cycle of reincarnation, living life, and life sucks and is painful and all of this. And they want to transcend themselves and achieve a nirvana is a pathway out of this cycle in which you can achieve a heavenly state. Is what generally they believe, right? So trading nirvana is the release from a constant cycle of failed trading systems, right? By achieving nirvana, you can transcend those failed strategies towards a state of being one with the markets. All right. Well, in order to do that, we have to have a right understanding. This Buddhists believe the first thing is to have a right understanding. Okay. So now with markets, having a right understanding of markets is impossible, frankly, for us mere mortals. The market is so much more complicated than any one person, and you can't know everything that everybody's thinking and every player and all of these sorts of things. If you could go in and you knew what every person in the market was thinking, then you could predict with 100% accuracy what's going to happen. Okay, but the closer that our understanding is to markets, the more reliable our analysis is going to be. Okay, so what we got down in here is this is the standard trader's understanding of markets, right? They think there's the market, and the market is this black box, and it spits out price and volume data to us. And then we, as the trader, interpret that information, and we send out entries and exits. And if our system is good, then we will make money. We'll have a positive expectancy off of that system. Okay. And my position is that this is naive. It doesn't work that way. And that there are actually some mechanisms in the market that essentially make this approach to markets unlikely to be successful for you. You might have periods of time that are successful, but if you really want to develop consistency, you're going to have to develop a more complicated model of the markets, right? So the first step to understanding this is that you have to understand that your entries and exits are sent back into the market, all right? So this is a fractal function. You send your entries into the market, it spits price and volume out at you, and then you interpret that information again, and you do entries and exits, okay? Now, a fractal function is kind of an interesting thing. In fact, I have a little demonstration here. I'm going to cover things up a little bit, but look, if I bring this out here, oops, and I'm going to make this really big. So we have a fractal function going on here. I don't know how well you can see it, but the whole screen is just going off into infinity right now, right? And one thing that I can do is I can bring up this magnifier. Where's the magnifier? It's going to pop up here. Okay. So I've got this magnifier, and I'm going to put it over here. All right. And now you kind of start to get all sorts of weird behavior when you do that. So look, I have my cursor, but can you see there's another cursor, but there's like this weird stuff around it? Or do you see this other one? It's like all blurred in an odd way. Like how does that work? Right. And I can even, if I come over here and I look at something and then I come back, like, look, it's changing the background. And look, if I even move it just a pixel, it completely changes the background image. Do you see that? It's like black and white. And it's incredibly difficult for me to predict, even if I move it just a little bit, what that change is going to be. And that is because in a fractal function, though any small change just gets, over and over and over again. So any small change can have a potentially large impact over a long period of time, even a pixel change, right? And there's no way for me to directly calculate it. Like I can't sit down and say, okay, and instead of going through this function 60 times, just have a different function that just gives me, I pass in the image and the number 60, and it does one calculation and it gives me out what the image is going to be like. You can't do that. It doesn't work. Or, well, maybe it's possible, but we haven't discovered it. Okay. You have to go through and you have this function and you have to run through the function 60 times. Okay. So markets, because they are a fractal function, are incredibly difficult to predict. Okay. So this is the first thing. Okay. It is a fractal. All right. Now, the next thing that we need to understand is that we're not the only person in the market, right? There are multiple participants in the market, including ourselves, and we all send orders into the system. And you could have a situation where two completely different sets of orders and participants and stuff are sent into the exchange, and you get the same price data out of it. And it could end up giving you completely different results. Or you can have a situation where you put the same set of orders in, and the price and volume data that comes out of it is completely different because there's some randomness to it, right? So what this tells us is that I can't just look at price and volume. I can't. Most traders, like especially Forex, only look at price and volume, and they can't ever really understand what's going on because they're not looking at the orders that are going into it. See, they think that this exchange is a black box, but you can see here, I didn't draw it as a black box now, right? There's a matching algo in there. That's because when you put orders into it, the way that they are matched up is consistent. It's 100%. I can tell you, based on what orders are in there, this is the price that should come out based on what the matching algorithm is, what the participants are doing, right? And to make it even more complicated, there's not just one instrument out there. There are multiple markets, right? I trade the treasury markets and equity indexes. Some people will just trade one sector of the economy. Some people trade oil, gold, currencies, the stocks of different countries. These are all things, right? And we can, when we look at the system, we can kind of understand a little bit what participants are doing, right? Because I can see that, okay, money is coming out of treasuries and going into equities. That's not happening today. Today, treasuries are up. And as the E-mini has decided to move up here, the treasuries haven't budged. I do see, though, I can see European, the euro is up. Gold is up a little bit too, which is interesting. The 6J is up a little bit. So really, we're getting some dollar weakness in here. So it looks like what's happening is that money is coming out of places like Europe and it's coming into the United States stock market, right? This is something that we can understand to try and determine what the participants are actually thinking here, right? But when we really get to it, and here's the final thing, and this is kind of where it's going, is that there's more than just this fractal function. So remember when I moved it over when we were doing the fractal thing, when I moved it over my picture and then moved it back over there, you would get the blue from this image over into the final output because it moves fast enough, right? There's the fractal function that determines what it looks like, right? But what the biggest input is just the landscape underneath that we're looking at, that we're using as the initial input, right? And so in this analogy, those inputs are fundamentals. Okay, so yes, I can sit down and I can say, here's what the fractal function tends to look like, even though I can't calculate it exactly. But the thing that really has the biggest effect on what the picture looks like is the landscape underneath, and that is fundamentals. Okay, so here I have a bunch of them listed out, but economic releases, actions of central banks, politics that are going on, people's just overall sentiment, macro flows, seasonality. There's a countless array of them that we can bring out, right? And then there's another thing that we have to factor in, and that's our own psychology. Because we can try different strategies, but if our own psychology is not suitable for them, then we also have to take that into account, right? So what is the takeaway? You've got to factor all of these things in there, and most especially fundamentals. And most retail traders just ignore fundamentals. They think, well, anything that I need to know about fundamentals will be reflected in the price. And if you do that, you're never actually trading. What you're doing is you're just following other people. But my take is I don't want to follow other people. I want other people to follow me. I'm going to make my decisions about what I think the market's going to do based on the fundamentals. And I have to consider what other people's positions are and what the state of play is. So I still need to look at the technical analysis. But really, it's the fundamentals that matter, right? So when we come in and we look at it over in here, I come in and I say something like, okay, today we had a pretty ugly day on Friday. Today, people are going to be investing based on how justified they think second wave fears are. But because they are unlikely to close the economy down again, there is going to be some drawdown in the markets because people are going to be more cautious. But as long as the economies stay open, we don't have to end the bull market. And so they're going to come in and buy. And then I'm going to come in and look at, okay, what would that look like? What would that look like? Well, in this instance, they kind of tested yesterday's close and they couldn't get there. So once we get back to the open, that's probably a pretty good place for us to go long. I'm not trading it today because I feel like shit, but that's the way that I come up with my strategy, right? So it's never something that's reproducible, right? Because it's going to be specific to every situation, and that's because fundamentals are always different, right? There are patterns in fundamentals, but every situation is different, and you just have to take each one and analyze that, right? So when we're talking about strategy, that's what we're looking for, right? And you could see how I was saying, well, because the initial move was down, the strategy is that if that fails and then we come back up to the open, then that's where I want to take it. And look, if you had taken it there, it would have been a really pretty easy trade. And you would have already had 10 points on it. Now, I'm saying that all in retrospect, but I'm hoping that's what I would have done if I was trading this week, which I'm not. So, that was probably way more than you wanted, White Trader. And I'm going to make a video about this at some point when I'm feeling better. But that's my approach to markets.
Winston's mom says good morning and how was your Father's Day weekend? And now I will ask everyone to please hit like. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, because you missed it, my little sister died. Well, she killed herself on Saturday, so we've been spending most of the weekend with family, and it's been pretty crap. I'm gonna keep streaming and everything.
E-Trader says HHHH true.
Yeah. I'm gonna continue streaming, but I'm not gonna trade this week. Not even on Sim. And I expect that my read on markets is going to be pretty unreliable. So we're talking, but I'm being careful to not try and make too many pronouncements about what's going on. I have to say, though, that they've made a pretty good recovery for now. And I think that today could be a day where, heck, man, we could even move up a little bit. I don't think that we would beat out yesterday's high or anything like that, but we could move up a little bit and recover and consolidate and give them time to work this all out and see how things go. Sales of $1 million plus homes plunge. Oh, yes. Existing home sales was negative 9.7% versus an estimate negative 2.3 and a previous of negative 17.8. So that's not very good, but existing home sales in May was 3.91 million versus 4.2 million, which is okay. It is a miss, but it's not a terrible miss. Need to come in here and adjust a few things. Get rid of these. 3096 was the previous open. So that's curious. So even though the trend looks really strong this morning, we're not out of the woods yet. Although I do have to say that the way that it's moved so far does look very much like the kind of action that we were seeing. And it looks very much like a game on just buy all the things and ignore risk sort of a trade.
Winston's mom says, oh, Seth, I am so sorry. E-Trader says sorry to hear that. 305,790 says my condolences, Seth, I'll keep you in my prayers.
Obviously, we're all pretty shocked. And you know, I don't know. Like it's happened like there's nothing you can do. You get this feeling like you should be doing something about it, you know?
Winston's mom says E-Trader hi and welcome aboard. Speculator Seth trades in the Amini. His regulars talk treasury bonds.
Yeah. We haven't been trading the bonds much lately because it's just now that we're up there, the upside is limited and it's just not a very good market anymore. At some point, the federal, in a year from now or something, the Federal Reserve will have to think about increasing rates, and then we could get some really great trades in treasuries. But until then, it's ugly trading over there. Okay, so there's some significant order flow right there. Well, the auction so far today, it looks incredibly disjointed. So if they were to just continue to trend up, that would leave them very vulnerable to a sell if, say, for instance, and we should be careful. Like if you have a long right now, my recommendation would be to manage your stops. Lock in some profits because this is around the time that those state numbers come out, right? So you don't want like the Florida numbers to come up and then they move down 20 handles. That's been happening. Of course, it could also move up 20 handles, but you
Sunday
just
Driver says,
be aware.
What's up?
Be aware that there could be some limit moves coming in off of coronavirus numbers from individual states. Sunday Driver just missed all the fun. Well, Sunday, my little sister killed herself, so I'm not training this week. And they're trying to remove a statue of Roosevelt, which is kind of lame. And I think that's about it. If it's so awful, then remove the Indian and the the black lady, right? But of course they wouldn't do that because that would also be bad. So of course they have to get rid of the whole statue. It's just so dumb. Roosevelt was a great man. Well,
Sunday Driver says, I'm really sorry to hear that, Seth. Tragic beyond words.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You want to like it's hard because you want to make some sense of it or like pull something up from it, but there's not really anything to it. It's just a thing that happened and there's nothing that you can do about it or that you have to do about it. What's this that Zero Hedge is tweeting?
Winston's mom says an unexpected death is difficult under any circumstances. You will find this time to be a fog. People won't know what to say or do. Please give your mom my deepest sympathy.
Yeah. Well, you get a lot of people will send us messages and stuff, but they're like, oh, we're so sorry. Let me know if there's anything I can do. And I was like, what would especially acquaintances. What's Brannigan tweeting here? Sometimes the best observation you can make as a trader is to step back, zoom out onto weekly charts and the few major macro markets. The way I see it, volatility suppression in bonds will lead equities higher. Well, Forex Live says expect a dip in coronavirus cases because they're normally less on Sunday and Monday. Yeah, because of the weekend. If they're not, it would be super bad. Okay, well, we are getting a sell here, so we're finally getting some profit taking. I don't know if the time that Florida number comes out is consistent. Is it 1999 or 2007? It says Zero Hedge.
E-Trader says market high on S, bear sign.
Well, I think that now would be a good time to just be range bound. So let me show you. Come back over here and show you this analysis we were doing earlier. A lot of people are paying attention to these moving averages. So I have a 50, a 100, and a 200-day moving average. But it seems like it's the 200-day moving average right here that they're really paying attention to. And you can see that we came in and we bounced off of it. So we didn't quite get there, right? But some of this technical behavior up here, especially this day, because this whole move up, like all of this from here was really recklessly done, and you didn't have a really strong base, right? Now here on this move right here, it's a similar sort of a thing. When we come back into the footprint and you look at where they absorbed and stuff, there's not really a strong base anywhere. Okay. So it would make sense to retrace a bit of Friday's move and find some balance in here. But if there was a move above the yesterday's high at 31.46, then I would have to reassess my fundamental viewpoint, because that would seem to suggest that they're at the very least brushing off what we learned on Friday. So I don't know, but at the same time, I'm not so sure that today is a great day for them to just bust through that low. Like, it would make more sense to have a few gradual down days and then it fall out. So yeah, I don't know if it's a bear sign or not. I'm expecting there to be quite a bit of back and forth here. Like, that was a strong uptrend, but now they're turning back down. Like, I think that they need to find some balance, and I think that they're gonna screw around with the retail traders, which means you're gonna get some chop. Sean Hannity tweets Teddy taking down New York City to remove Teddy Roosevelt outside Museum of Natural History. See, I saw stuff about this story yesterday, even I think before that, but now conservative media is picking up on it. And I wonder how coordinated that is. Let's see if the people on the Donald are picking up on it. Okay, they do. One of the top posts on there is a Theodore Roosevelt quote. What did Theodore Roosevelt say? The first requisite of a good citizen in this republic of ours is that he shall be able and willing to pull his own weight. Okay. Not particularly relevant to if there's communists, but it's not about writing or anything like that. Now we know why they hate him. Oh, guys. To be fair, Pantifa can't carry much weight at all. FDR would never say something so racist. Oh, wait, really? Oh, no, that's it. This is why they want to tear down statues of him. It's ironic because he was the first president to call himself a progressive and is responsible for most of the modern labor laws that actually protect the middle class. I'm pretty sure this is why Bank of America and other multinational conglomerates and bankroll BLM want him erased. They're useful idiots or sweet. That last part, I don't care. Yeah. Just hating Teddy is pretty crazy. Although it sounds to me like it's not so much about Teddy himself as it is the other two figures in the statue. Let's see if there's anything else about him. I really like Roosevelt. There was some documentary on Netflix about him, and I wonder if those are still up. So now would be a good time to watch that stuff. Well, that's the only thing that I see so far, but I bet you it's gonna pick up.
Winston's mom says, Mormon funeral
Oh
potatoes,
yes.
uniquely Utah. Lol, is there such a thing?
Oh
I was reading
yes.
about your religious funeral tradition s. Potato.
Yeah, it's usually ham, funeral potatoes, and like the green bean casserole. I don't know if we're gonna really have food though. Like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I was thinking about it because my ex texted me that she'd seen that and was like, I want to come to the funeral, and I said, well, of course we'll let you come. Even though it'll be really awkward, but I understand what it'd be like to be told not to come to a funeral, and we wouldn't do that to you. But then I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, but like I think only 50 people can come. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. Or it's probably we're going to stream it or something. And maybe they'll allow more people to come through the viewing and they just have to come at different times or something. It's the whole thing is just crazy, man. We would like to just have a funeral with like literally everybody there. But I don't think that that's going to happen. So, yeah. It's pretty weird. I think that my parents are taking the week off, but I'm going to work today. At least today I'm going to work. See how much stuff I can get done. So they did the pullback. They didn't push the average true range stop. They may be good for another high. Well, let's see. We should come back over here to this chart and look at the volume profile. So their most volume is at 3091.75. So that's an area that's likely to have some behavior. Mm. Oh man. There's also this series that Amazon is making that I haven't looked into, but it sounds like people are really upset about that too. Wow. Karl Marx was a horrific racist. Here are the ghosts to prove it. Oh, I would like to see that.
Winston's mom says a Zoom funeral. You will need an alpaca. Sorry, I shouldn't joke about alpaca. Person
Wait,
facepalming.
what do I don't get it? What do alpacas have to do with it? Well, they're flirting with overnight high, 396.50. I don't know why that doesn't show up on my chart, but let's go and see what our fixed targets are. Okay. So up above us, I have 31.12, and below 34. No, excuse me. 30.46.
Winston's mom says people are getting animals to appear in their Zoom meetings. We didn't have any alpaca emojis.
Oh, man. I'm sweaty. Sorry. You had to see that. Yeah. It's if it was my funeral, I would hope that they would get an alpaca. You make sure if something happens, like, some freak accident, I promise you I will never kill myself, right? But accidents happen. If anything crazy happens to me, well, first of all, if something does happen to me and it appears to be a suicide, suspect foul play. Okay? The deep state is after me if that happens, because I would never do that. I would never do that, okay? But if an accident should befall me,
Winston's mom says I promise. Lol.
if an accident should befall me, make sure that my family has an alpaca there. That's so crazy. That would be so crazy to have an alpaca at a funeral. Okay, they are hitting through the volatility stop now. I want these racist Karl Marx quotes. Let's see. Marx believed that there would eventually be no need for nations because the workers of the world could unite without the need for countries. But before that could happen, the backwards people of the world needed to be eliminated or join the worldwide revolution for communism. This was inevitable and scientifically proven, Marx believed. Oh my gosh. Karl Marx says, "What is the worldly religion of the Jew, huckstering? What is his worldly god? Money. Money is the jealous god of Israel, in face of which no other god may exist. Money degrades all the gods of man and turns them into commodities. The bill of exchange is the real god of Jew.
Winston's mom says
oh my
0931
gosh.
times CST. We hear speculator Seth.
His god is only an illusory bill of exchange. The chimerical nationality of the Jew is the nationality of the merchant, of the man of money. In general, that's that's about the worst thing that you could say about Jews. My goodness. The splendid territory of the Balkans has the misfortune to be inhabited by a conglomerate of different races and nationalities, of which it is hard to say which is the least fit for progress and civilization. Karl Marx also said, Trumeau proved the common Negro type is the degenerate form of a much higher one, a very significant advance over Darwin. Oh my God, he was straight up racist. He straight up believed that some people were genetically superior to other people. Most of it was he was very anti-Semitic. Indian society has no history at all, at least no known history. What we shall call its history is but the history of the
Winston's mom says,
successive
how are your children
invaders
doing? They will have many questions.
who founded the empires on the passive basis of that unresisting and unchanging society. He was racist. Karl Marx was kind of a little racist. So the kids have been gone over the weekend. I think they know. I don't know. I mean, they don't know my sister that well. Yeah, so the problem is that I just don't keep in contact with people very well. That's just kind of the way it is. If I don't see something in front of me, I don't think about it. I was thinking about her earlier in the week, and I was thinking about calling her, and I wish I'd done it, but I didn't. But the kids, they've met her. It's been a few years, and she's already around. So I'm sure that when we get to the funeral and everything, it'll hit them. But I don't expect them to be too distraught. But I don't know. Everybody seems to be taking. I haven't seen anybody like breaking down in tears or anything right now. Maybe that has happened. I don't think that anybody has been given the chance to really sit and wallow in self-pity, except for maybe her husband. They said that, I mean, he looked terrible when we saw him, when we came and talked to him. And then they said that he has been slept almost all day yesterday. They checked him, he's still alive, but I'm super worried about that guy. That's, yeah. I'm really worried about him. I hope that he doesn't blame himself. I don't think that it was, I mean, they had an argument and he had left the house, but I mean, my sister she's drunk, she can be a little crazy. And I don't think that she necessarily did it to punish him or that it was his fault. But, I'm trying to make a logical argument to how I would explain to him that he shouldn't blame himself, but it's not that I think that he should, but it's just more like, how do you make a convincing argument? I don't know. Like, he can move on. I think that one of the things that's not weird, but I mean, she had plans. Like I said, she had just gotten a real estate license, for instance. Like, she had things going. I think that the emotional pain was just too much, and she decided to push all that off. But they've done some things. I mean, I think that they have some debt, but they also have some equity in their house. So I think that they can, he should be set up to be able to be successful, and hopefully he can find a living situation with some friends or something like that. But I'm worried about him, and hopefully he doesn't drink. Drinking is what I worry about the most, because it's kind of how it started. Well, they're still kind of acting like they want to bounce here. Like they're hitting into the CMA. It looks like they're in a good spot to be able to flip back up again. But I'm a little skeptical about how much they can actually do here. And it is a little concerning that the point of control is still at 30.8925 instead of the 30.91. Because you want to build a point of control for the day higher than Friday's point of control. If the day's point of control ends up being lower, then that's not a positive sign. It's not like a huge deal, but it's just not a positive thing, right? How can I put that? It's just like, what should I say? One factor? One factor? It's a negative factor? Something like that.
Winston's mom says maybe call a suicide support group and get someone who knows how to help the surviving partner to reach out to him.
Yeah, well, the police gave them a trauma counselor or something like that. So I think where it starts. I don't know. We would do the funeral and then we'll worry about that sort of stuff, and that's probably not my thing to worry about. There's probably not a whole lot of good that I can do there, unfortunately. Mm. Let's see, what are we going through here? Oh yeah, there's things still about Trump suggesting to lower testing. I don't know if that's what he was saying. Oh, I think what he's trying to say is that because the United States tests so much more, it looks worse compared to the nations that don't test as much. All right, well, whatever. Close that.
President Trump slammed a decision.
Stop that. Sorry about that. Well, I was worried about my dad getting depressed about it, but he's been doing okay so far. I'm sure that at some point it's going to really weigh on him. Like, I'm told that, the worst is much later because everybody else kind of moves on and you don't. No. Like I said, it's not like we were seeing her every day or anything, but your sister, And we're all just really, I think that me and everybody was looking forward to when this whole mess is done and we could just be together for family gatherings again.
Winston's mom says, what do you think about the Tulsa rally? They got trolled, but I still think they should have figured something was up.
Yeah, so that is an interesting story, Win. I've mentioned on here several times that people go and sign up for the event thinking that it has something to do with how many with tickets, but the reality is that all you have to do to get in is to show up, and that's why people show up so early. Now, they sent so many signups, and then not as many people came as they thought, and so they didn't really need to change to a different venue. Now, the media is trying to paint this out as like a really big disaster, but there's lots of, contributing factors to it, right? Some people aren't going to come because they don't want to get sick. Some people aren't going to come because they're afraid of protesters attacking them. I don't think that the numbers is indicative of anything more like with the Trump's campaign or anything like that. But the media is going to do its best to try and make it seem like it is. So, and then of course the leftists are all going to pat themselves on the back thinking that they accomplished something. But what it does mean though is that every rally now is going to be like a thing, which may actually be beneficial to him, right? They're going to have a rally somewhere else. All of the leftists are going to be trying to mess with them. And probably all of the Donald Trump supporters are going to start saying, well, now we have to go. So it may seem right now that it's like a negative news story, but let's just let it play out. It may work in his favor. I think though that the thing that's going to matter more is if Donald Trump is able to get some momentum behind, labeling these protests as extreme and maybe we should think a little bit about what the best presentation for it is, but I think that trying to remove a statue of President Roosevelt is a great case. I really like President Roosevelt, and I don't know why they have a statue of a black woman and an Indian with him on that statue. But
Winston's mom says I think the show has grown stale.
I don't support removing that statue. So that's one place where they can start to rally people and get some enthusiasm behind that. Because at first it was like, well, I don't really care if they get rid of a statue of General Lee. Okay. But now they're moving to Thomas Jefferson and presidents and things like that. It's absolutely abhorrent, in my opinion. You think the show has gotten stale? Well, one of the things is that there wasn't really many moments in the rally that the news media is really picking up on. Part of that is because I don't think he really said anything super new. It was a good speech from what I saw. There was the moment where he was going against the news media for claiming that he had Parkinson's disease, and so to prove that he didn't, he drank a glass of water and threw it. That was a good moment. But they're going to try and downplay what he actually says. Another thing is that they are starting to open the salvos against Joe Biden. So, for instance, the Trump campaign has an ad out there saying that Biden is not all there, essentially, and trying to prove that the DNC is trying to hide him. And I thought it was a very effective ad. And they used the point where he was saying, what was the quote that he was going into? I don't know. It was a famous quote, and then he says, "You know the thing," because he couldn't finish it because he couldn't think of it. Now I'm gonna have to go find it. Of course, if I go into new ad about Trump, most of them are about a Biden ad against Donald Trump, not Trump ad against Joe Biden. Just funny. What was it? Oh yes. So he's talking all men and women are created equal, and he couldn't finish it. He's like, all men and women are you know the thing. You know the thing. That quote to me is like,
Winston's mom
wow.
says, have you seen any of the Lincoln Project commercials?
Yeah, I have seen the Lincoln Project. In my opinion, the Lincoln Project is run by idiots, to be frank. So yeah, here's the thing: is that you got this group of Republicans that are virulently anti-Trump, which would be a thing. It's definitely a problem, and them organizing against Donald Trump on certain issues and trying to remove him from office, that is certainly newsworthy. The problem is that the people that are fronting that effort are people that I never liked being in the Republican Party anyways. These are some of the guys, they're not the crazies with the crazy ideas. They're the establishment guys
Winston's mom
that
says
are
Rick
just
Wilson.
ineffective. Yeah, like Rick Wilson. So they got this whole thing about Rick Wilson where they caught him pictured with at a family gathering with a racist cooler that had a Confederate flag on it. So they were proving him to be a hypocrite. I mean, the problem with guys like Rick Wilson, in my opinion, is that they are primarily there for the political power. Does that make sense? He's there because he thinks that he has political power in the party, and the reason that he doesn't like Donald Trump is because Donald Trump torched the establishment and made it so that people like him don't really have an influence anymore. And so they're coming in and they're trying to like reassert their influence by fighting against him, which is just about the dumbest thing that you could possibly do. I think that you do like Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz was a guy that I think Ted Cruz's view on the party is very different from Donald Trump's. And he very much fought against him in the primary, but he lost, and so he stuck with the team, right? There's other people that have just kind of gone quiet. Even if you're going to go like you really don't like him and you're going to fight against him, I just don't think the way that he is doing it is the way to go about it. Because it's basically like start acting like a liberal to fight against him. You know what I mean? And it's just their instincts. These are the things that Republicans have been complaining about for years. Where, okay, if that's the way that he goes against Donald Trump, what would Rick Wilson be doing if his candidate was president or was running for president against an incumbent Joe Biden? And what kind of ads would he be putting out? And this is where Republicans say that they're not very effective, and I agree with them. So I don't think that the what was it called again? The Lincoln Project. I don't think that the Lincoln Project is very likely to be very successful because the people that are running it are stupid. But you know, and the other thing is there's another thing that we got to kind of keep in mind here. I don't think that there's a whole lot of people out there that are like unsure about whether they like Donald Trump or not. You know what I mean? He's the most known president ever. Like maybe I'm wrong, but everybody knows him and his antics. That they've been exposed to more media about their president during these past 4 years than we have ever been in history. It's not even close. The amount of media attention that's put on him, all right? So Donald Trump is a very well-known quantity, we'll say, right? Joe Biden is really well-known too, but I don't know if he's really defined himself yet. In fact, I think they may be making a mistake here. maybe I in fact I say that they are making a mistake, but I don't know if it will matter. Here is the time where you want to define yourself as a candidate, and Joe Biden is intentionally avoiding doing that. And the concern that they should have is that Donald Trump is defining him. And how is Donald Trump defining him? He's defining him as incompetent and senile. This is a potent potent persuasion that we're talking about here. I think that the commercial was very persuasive. And so there's going to be a bunch of people on the edge that are going to say, well, I don't necessarily like Donald Trump, but I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden because either A, he's senile, or B, he's going to support extremists.
Winston's mom says Roger Stone was Nixon's dirty trickster and he guided Trump into politics. Dirty campaigns are nothing BEW.
Oh, sure. It's going to get dirty. That's where the edge is going to be. And it's not even going to be so much like that there's tons of these swing voters that are sitting there and trying to make that decision. It's going to be which of those people stay home and which of those are actually motivated to go out to the polls, right? So they're very much trying very hard to discourage Republicans right now, right? They want to say, well, the whole country is going to shit and Donald Trump is not doing a very good job at dealing with it. And it just doesn't matter because the Marxists are going to take over anyways. That's what they want you to think. Wonko keyboard still. This is what they want you to think. No, I just exceeded my data, unfortunately. So that's where it comes down to. And that's where things like, does taking down a statue of Roosevelt become a major news story and a turning point for public opinion about some of the things that are going on, right? That's why that sticks out so much in my mind, is that's where I can see a potential pivot, right? So it always swings back and forth. Right, one of the things that is irksome is, well, not irksome, but I just don't understand how white people always make this mistake over and over again. But they always do it in politics, and it's, they do it in markets too. But it's so obvious to see in politics. It'll seem like things are going really, really well for your candidate, or that they're going really, really poorly for your candidate. And everybody assumes that trend is just going to be what it's going to do all the way into the election. And the reality is that it swings back and forth. And it oscillates very consistently. So right now, I think things aren't going very well for Donald Trump. That rally is probably a place where you see a pivot. They're going to make some changes, and we'll see how it turns out. And we'll see if when he gets to his high point, if it's better or worse than his last high point. And what it is compared to the low point, and we can do that sort of analysis on it. Those are the sorts of things I'd be looking for. Well, the market has lost the 89 area now. We'll see how low they're able to get. The open was at 78. They look awfully close to that. Future Trader 71 saying it's a post-expiration grind Monday. Yeah. That initial move up looked really good, but I'm telling you, they've got to sucker you in. It's going to it's going to find a spot, and it's probably going to just rotate around that spot. Okay, so the Florida cases did come out at 38. I missed that. Market didn't really react to it. It was 3.0 versus 3.7 day average, but Mondays tend to be low. Now I see my local news networks picking up on the removal of Theodore Roosevelt from the front steps of the Museum of Natural History. No, that's not where I wanted to go. I want to go to Facebook. Let's see if anybody on my Facebook feed is talking about it. Oh my gosh, guys. Going on Facebook when you've had a close family member die is... You get so many notifications. I get look at the number of people. There's got to be like hundreds of comments now on this, and they're all just, I'm so sorry. I do appreciate it. I don't want to sound like ungrateful about it, but it is kind of like, for me, it's like they get this outpouring from people, and how do you do with it? Except for say thank you and try to move on. I don't know. I do see a lot of people turning off social media. Well, I don't really see anybody talking about Theodore Roosevelt yet. Okay, so we're doing the same thing with the open that we did when we were coming at it from the other side. Now they're just kind of ranging around a little bit just above it, and we'll see if they move through or not. Oh, that's not true. This person was saying, oh, the rest of the world is beating COVID because they took it seriously earlier. It's probably not going to work out that way. Okay, well, nobody's picking up on it yet. I'm always the first on my Facebook though to do it. I bet you maybe tomorrow they'll start posting about it. CNN politics, Donald Trump spreads new lies about foreign-backed voter fraud, stoking fears of a rigged election this November. Okay, so when you make an accusation or a prediction, that can't be a lie, it's an opinion. It's an opinion that people are likely to commit voter fraud because of mail. That's not a factual thing. It's extremely disingenuous to be reporting like that. CNN, you should be ashamed of yourself. And of course, CNN's never going to be ashamed of anything. Ugh. You can hear my politics coming out much more today, can't you? Okay, so far they are bouncing off of that open. It may be too hard to call. This is where technical analysis gets so... Ugh. Okay, because maybe it comes... Here's the line. Maybe it comes down, and then, that's it. Could be. But it could also come down and do this, and then false breakout. Could do that. Or it could do, I'll draw another one up here. It could go down like this, and it could go down. Right? And what'll happen is you'll see it bounce and you say, oh yeah, it's definitely bouncing. You buy it and it works out that one time, and then you think that's the pattern, and it's not. Negative rates could distort bank lender behavior, says Macklem. No clue who that is. BOC plans central planning scenario in July. Well, I mean, there's the bounce. Let's see if they retrace it, if they retest it, or what they do. Well, now is probably a good time for me to take a break, so I will be back in a little bit, all right? Oh, wait, what was there? Facebook is difficult but necessary. I found it helpful actually because I avoided phone calls. Yeah, I I want to spread my. I feel like I have a pretty good handle of what's going on, and I want to spread that. But at the same time, I also want there to be a place where there's not politics. But if we weren't talking about politics, what would people be posting about? I don't know, man. The thing is Facebook has made it difficult to promote. It would be nice if it was like, hey, your work. Like, here's a picture I made. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But they turned it into a platform where it's only good for politics. I don't know what to say. What's Wednesday? I'm dying to talk politics and can't. I have to call a geek guy. Well, it really is. It really is a subject that most people don't really know a lot about. Many times we think that we know a lot about it, but most people aren't sitting there reading just political blogs all day. You know, there's only a very small subsection of us that are actually that into it. Yep, I see the home sales was bad. Dow Jones Industrial Average is flat Monday morning, with shares of Walgreens, Boots, and Merrick leading the way for price-weighted average. Dow flat in spite of losses in Walgreens, Boots. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the setup that I see that is concerning. We had a pretty bad downturn on Friday. So the way that whole gamma expiration thing turned out was about the worst that you could get on a day like that. So now you have a bad day and everybody's coming in and like, okay, so is that sign of something to come? Or is that the worst of it and we can continue to move up again? Right? That's what everybody's thinking today. But when you understand the market, we just had a ton of gamma taken off. It's the summer. Why should anybody put money at risk here? Right? Let them, what I would do is sit there and let them sort it out, figure out where value is, and then use that to make my decisions, right? So you have a situation where the market is likely to be a little rangy. And that seems like what we're doing today. We made a pretty good move up. We could totally go and take out that again at 30.96. But it's not going to take out the previous day's open. Probably not. Who knows? It could be wrong. Maybe something really good happens. But, here they're bouncing off the open. So it seems like they want to stay long. But I'm betting you that it's going to be a difficult long if it works out. And you're going to have all of these guys looking to buy in and getting thrashed around. They're going to get disappointed because they don't know that this situation calls for reducing not reducing your risk, but reducing your volatility expectations, right? But at the same time, if the market just goes flat here for a little while, that's one of the worst things that could happen, because now you've generated a base that if we make another leg down can be very powerful, really keep them down and really turn the sentiment of the markets on its head and down and stuff like that. So, I'm a little concerned. If it came out and it was just like gangbusters, buy up again, V-shaped recovery, and we recover all of last week's nonsense in a day or two, and then maybe it's a different thing. But that's the less likely scenario right now. There's Ace. How are you, man? I spent hours daily feeding my news junkie habit. Once upon a time, I had to visit libraries to learn half as much. The amount of reading. It's funny because sometimes I find myself like, oh, I want to read more. How did it go this morning? Well, I'm not going to trade at all today or this week. Probably this whole week I'm not going to trade. Maybe even next week, to be honest with you. Maybe, after the 4th of July, like maybe mid-July, maybe I can start taking some more serious trades. We're in a spot where I expect the market to be pretty uncooperative, just as an example, you had a long here, and look, they came out, they just went a little bit, they tested again. I guess you could have held it and you would have gotten your trade, but it would have been a little stressful. That long would have been good though. Well, even that one, they're coming back, they're testing it. They're bouncing. They're retesting it several times now. And that's too far back. So that's the open. So when did they give us a long after the open? It's 15 minutes after the open. They had a touch, came back, through, came back. Kind of a little fickle. Then the downside one was really messy, right? You just need 2 points? Yeah. Well, that one would have given you 2 points. But you can tell, like, the market behavior is just changing a little, is different today, right? It's like a rangy Monday, and you can see the volatility decreasing, even after all that sell. So, well, let's go see here. What's the VIX? The VIX is actually, it's above 33, which is a higher end of, yeah, the higher end of Friday. So while volatility does appear to be decreasing, the VIX isn't really squeezing. Yeah, how was Father's Day? Back to 3089. I think that they're gonna rotate around 89 to 91. It's pretty quiet in chat too lately. Sunday Driver says Zoom meetings suck. I think that's how we're gonna have to do the funeral. I think it's gonna be we'll have 50 people there, and then there'll be a Zoom meeting. Hopefully they allow a lot of people to come. There's a lot of friends of family that I'm sure we would really like to see, and I don't want it to be like we can't see them because of the freaking pandemic bullshit. It's not bullshit, but you know what I mean. It's frustrating. Oh, is the SPX significantly different today? Let's try adding it. SPX index. Oh, it is. They're trading at 3,100. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, I think I should keep an eye on that. That's a pretty big divert. That's a pretty significant difference. I don't think I've ever seen it that different. Well, I don't know. 10 points, 10 points, maybe not. Maybe not 10.
Market here says cyclicals have rallied, but there's more room to go. Ooh, what's this? Value versus Momo. Does it reverse the entire shakeout move? Ah, wow. Well, we got about 10 minutes. 10 minutes and we'll shut it down. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting that we're over here. Gotta keep it over here. Do you have a percentage goal per day when you trade? I don't. Ace is usually just, if he's got his 2 points or more, and then when he finishes. I keep trading until my time is up, usually, unless I catch something like really good. So one of the things that'll happen is like, let's say that I'm short, and then all of a sudden there's some crazy coronavirus headline, and we move down 20 points, and I take a profit off of that. You tend to get so much oscillation off of something like that if you caught the early trade and then you're done, I usually just quit because it's hard to make money after that unless it turns into a trend day. So that's kind of how I treat goals. If I lose too many times in a row, I quit. My personal goal when I trade is to have as many $20 bills spit out of my computer as that guy who advertises endlessly on YouTube. Oh man. I'm getting to the point now. You know what happened to me was I watched another trader's channel, and just like one video, and now it wants me to watch all of these. So it's constantly recommending videos from the top content creators in the trading space, and I can't stand it because the shit they talk about is so dumb. And it's usually equity stuff. It's like, here's the top 5 stock scanner tools that I use that you can spend money on. Obviously, you're getting affiliate links from it. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's why you made the video, right? I don't feel like that they're really making the content that would be like the most useful to traders. You know what I mean? Especially since most of what they talk about is technical analysis, which just kills me. Like, you're not making money because of technical analysis. You're making money because you're buying momentum in a massive stock rally. YouTube recommended videos will suck. I watched a sports video just once, and now they recommended sports videos. Right? Yeah. Same here. I like to watch trading videos. Chat with Traders guy is good, and webinars, but oh my gosh, I can't get away from. Yeah. Oh yeah. They always want you to do stupid education and this kind of nonsense. Yeah. It's really, like I've been thinking, because I need to make a couple of videos, but I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'm going to go make a video. It really needs to be something that I'm absolutely sure is useful and is going to be the most useful thing I can give people at this time, right? So I could come in and I could say, here's a technical analysis strategy, right? Is that really that useful? No, because technical analysis is of limited utility. Fundamentals matter more. What headphones are you using? These are a DJ headphone called the Pioneer HDJ 2000. I don't think they make them anymore. I think that they've made a newer, better version of them. Maybe I need to upgrade, but they're not. They weren't cheap. I don't know if I could justify a new set of DJ headphones because I don't foresee myself
DJing in a club anytime soon. As much as I enjoy it, but I don't want to stay up late. I don't want to get absorbed in that stuff. And one of the things was that my little sister would bring people to listen to me play, and that was my marketing, and I ain't got that anymore. So, but that's what I think a DJ headphone does work really well for trading though, because they're really effective at blocking outside noise. So, my headphones just broke. They were a cheap POS made in China. Snapped them right at the ear when I was putting them on. Well, if you really want something like sturdy, you want to spend a ton of money, one of the things that I would recommend looking at is Mass Drop. I think it's called drop.com, but they make their own version of the what do we call these? Sennheisers that are nicer. And that's, you get yourself something that's really effective. At some point, though, I probably need to buy some new headphones. Closed ear. So for trading, I would recommend closed ear because I think you want to block outside noise, But if you want to listen to music, then gear towards that, of course. Well, we've made a pretty good ball back, but the trend still seems, well, there's been a couple of okay spikes up, but it still seems slow to me. The first 5 points of this was a little slow, and then the last 5 points of this was okay. But they're still below the last pivot, for instance. So they could still turn back down again and go lower. Not out of the woods. And it's taken a long time for that to happen. It's time for us to go. They're still trading it. Oh, man, you see, I keep having to stretch and I feel tired. It's definitely affecting me. Today we'll work out. That'll help. Mm-hmm. And 89 is a good spot to rotate around, so I think they should spend some time here. Let's see here. What's the volume say? Did we ever get a strong distribution? Actually, we did. We got a pretty good distribution in the 88 area. As did on the first hour, there was 10K up in 91. So there is some evidence that balance will be found in this area. World Health Organization's Tedros, lack of global leadership is the biggest threat to fight the pandemic. That sounds like a political statement. I don't know this guy. Oh, jeez. No thanks. Mm-mm. Somebody in the Twitter in ZBF Jedi Mark is saying nobody wants to sell a bond future. So you look at where we've been today. Well, they are turning down a little bit now, but incredibly slow day. Like, just having come down from 29 to 28, 27.5 seems like an extreme break, and it's not even a huge deal. There's 3 ticks. What else? What did Donald Trump tweet here? I missed one. Unlike the radical left, I will always stand against socialism and with the people of Venezuela. My administration has always stood on the side of freedom and liberty and against the oppressive Maduro regime. I would only meet with Maduro to discuss one thing, a peaceful exit from power. Good on you, Mr. Trump. All right. Well, I hate when the market is ranging. It says white trader. I know, right? I think most traders do because there's a way better risk reward on longs. On trends. Well, hey, they're falling out here. Taking out the ATR stop. I would like to stick around, but I think that I should just stop myself right now. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning. I intend on, if anything happens, I'll get Ace or John to take the stream for me. But I intend to be here every day. I don't think that there's going to be anything going on early in the mornings. So maybe Dave's funeral, we'd just do a shortened stream. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends. Oh, what should we call this video? Let's rename it. Monday. Yeah. Ranging post gamma hangover trading live futures live stream the 22nd of June. All right. Now, for real. Catch you guys later. Stay profitable.